if somebody in a country like Rwanda or Venezuela or Cambodia, Uganda, like if those folks were, some of these countries have like the worst human rights violations. You're thrown in jail for a YouTube channel and then you end up dead. Like you can't be gay in Uganda. They will kill you. And so now we're reaching a point where we've democratized.
These are things that are absolutely wild if you think about it in the grand
right, like
scheme of things.
This is what we talked about years ago. Like we're doing this now. We're actually getting to a point where like the average person, Derek goes to a hackathon in Nashville at Bitcoin Park, and the conversation is, let's build an app to keep us alive. And in both cases, Bitcoin fixes this. It fixes mainstream financial problems. Humans are genius about coming up with ways to fight the man, whatever the man is, whether it's the government of Rwanda or Venezuela or whatever. Find ways to, life will always find a way. Freedom will always find a way.
Welcome to the Soapbox Sessions. Imagine this, an open and free internet where voices are never silenced, where causes aren't shadow banned, and where no one can be deplatformed. It's real, it's here, and it's happening on Nostr. So what exactly is Nostr? It's a worldwide community of everyday people working to decentralize the internet. On Nostr, you can build websites, communities, social networks, apps, and more. One login works everywhere, you own it, and no one can take it away. No more juggling dozens of platforms, chasing audiences, or managing a giant password list. And the cherry on top? Nostr allows for built-in digital payments that can come from anywhere in the world. On Nostr, value flows as freely as ideas. We're hooked on decentralizing the web, and we think you will be too. So now, let's hear from your hosts, Derek Ross and Heather Larson, who are working to grow Nostr one vibe at a time.
Hey, what's going on, Heather? So I am back from Nashville. I was in another AI hackathon sponsored by Bitcoin Park and the Human Rights Foundation.
I know you're eager to tell me all about it. What went down? There was a championship. Yeah. You won a trophy. Go sports. Get the ball. No.
So, it was a vibe coding sport, I guess. Yes. I guess vibe coding is kind of like a sport.
We should make it a sport.
If you remember back in January, a bunch of Soapbox team members went to Austin for a vibe coding hackathon by HRF.
And Agora was
born.
Park. Yes.
And Agora was born from that.
World
absolutely.
Liberty Congress. Yes.
Yeah. Because so I was there, MK, Alex, Chad from the team. So since four of us were there, we kind of took Agora and ran with it. And now it's one of our applications that we dedicate a lot of time and effort towards. So this time around, I was the only Soapbox team member on site in Nashville for this hackathon.
The one
there
guy.
were two other AOS members there. So we had Simple Kid and Eric. They both work on the Cashew team. So I wasn't alone from the AOS verse, if that is a thing. Anyways, my team ended up getting paired with Anise. I actually met her 2 years ago. Her family was part of the Rwandan hotel. Some people might remember that.
Oh my God.
That whole experience. Her family. Yeah. So she and her sister are now human rights activists because apparently there's genocide in Rwanda. You can't speak bad about the government or you will be killed. A lot of crazy stuff. So we heard from all the activists that want to have a problem solved, and myself and two other guys from Austin, the Bitcoin Austin group, I met. One guy's name is Topher, the other guy's name is Jim. The three of us paired with Anise, we built an application for her. So her problem was literally just a few days ago, a Rwandan YouTuber influencer with 60,000 followers that would speak negatively about the regime there. He was jailed.
Honestly, depending on how you look at it, right?
It depends on how you look at it. They thought he was speaking negatively.
Right.
Well,
probably telling the truth.
Jokes aside, I guess we shouldn't be laughing at this. He was jailed and he was killed.
For
now
his YouTube?
The regime says that it was so the regime says that it was a medication on the day of his release. He overdosed on his medication.
Damn.
But human rights activists around the world think that that's very suspicious. It's odd that
proof.
He was jailed for speaking out about the government. Then on the supposed day of his supposed release, he's dead. So there's a lot of questions about that. It's very sad. So Anise, she said that she wanted to build an application that would stop this from happening. And her idea was to have an AI influencer. So because if it's an AI influencer, then there is no influencer to track down and kill.
There's no human influencer to jail.
There is no human to jail. There is no human to silence.
You could build an anonymous influencer, in other words.
So immediately I thought, okay, this is a perfect use for Nostr. So you can be anonymous. There's no KYC. And then we can use AI to build this AI influencer. So we did. We used a very unique concept. So the operator, operator could be someone like myself that logs into our app that we built. And then from there, you can build an AI persona. So you could give it a voice, a male voice, female voice. Maybe maybe she is a university student. Maybe she runs a podcast. Maybe he runs a local meetup, whatever. You can build this entire persona, and this can be your identity. So on the show before, we've talked about like OpenClaw and an identity file and a soul file. So essentially we do that. There's a system prompt where you can build your entire identity, your entire soul, your entire voice.
Building your soul.
And then from there, you can choose whatever topic you want. We have a wizard, allows you to do research into topical conversations, things that are in the news, things that are in social media, people are saying on X, maybe, for example. And you can build an entire story to talk about. And then through a one-button click, you can customize all these stories, all these narratives, all these news information, all the research you've done. You can customize it all to your persona, all to this AI identity that you built.
So then I'm like the Rwandan government, though, my question becomes, can I trace it back to Derek Ross in the United States as the creator of this persona? Like, can you trace it back to, because they want blood, man. They want to put people in jail. That's how they silence people. So they're going to work hard to trace it back to some human being somewhere.
Sure. So we made sure that everything is encrypted at rest on the device. Everything is encrypted. Whoever owns the persona is encrypted on Nostr. So for example, all of the style guide, all of the persona information, the NSEC, the wallet seed phrases, everything is all encrypted by the one secret key for the operator.
So nobody can trace it back to me.
Yeah.
Or whoever.
No. So as long as the operator keeps that key safe and doesn't leak the key, then, but still, even if that key is leaked, it's all anonymous, right? It's all on Nostr. And if you're using a VPN or using Tor or something, like no one will ever be able to figure out that it's you.
Maybe definitely be using a VPN and Tor if you're an activist. You definitely have taken those steps already.
They all, use Tor. Like using a VPN is pretty much standard practice for them. They know all about this. So you use this, you create your prompt, your stylized to your persona prompt after you use the wizard, and then you can create a video. And this was really, really hard to do, but Jim from our group, he was able to figure this out. So
it's going to get easier over time too. I mean, obviously.
Well, let me backtrack. So my job, I use Soapbox's MK stack to build the framework for this app. So my job was to work on the user interface, to work on the front end and the Nostr integration. And I built all of that. And then we had Jim, he was the AI expert. He figured out how to make these 8 to 10 second videos through Google's VO and then stitch them all together to make longer videos. Apparently that's how you do it. It was really wild. So what we did is you create this like 8-second video, and then you essentially take a screenshot of the last frame of the video, and then you pipe that in as the context for the next video. So you can chain these together and end up making like a 60-second video if you want.
You would have to automate that because that would be maddening. No human being wants to do that work. That's definitely something you automate.
So we automate this whole thing and you end up with a video. Now, videos are expensive. It costs about $1 per 10 seconds. So that gets expensive, if you're churning out these videos. So we needed to make a voice that was self-funded, and we needed to make it, no KYC, censorship resistant, decentralized, so forth. So obviously we use Bitcoin.
This is complicated. This is crazy.
The other gentleman of our group, Topher, he worked on the wallet and he tied wallets to personas. So what you can then do is you can have a persona or an AI influencer that is self-funding. So they get zapped on Nostr, and then those funds can be swept into the operator's wallet. So the operator can then have AI credits to make more videos to fund the persona and so forth. And it's just a cycle.
I'm having like
really
serious,
complicated.
I'm having a serious, well, you know what my brain is doing right now? My brain is saying, Heather, just abort this video. Stop recording. Don't put this online because the CIA is going to be the fucking trees outside of Derek's house. Like some government's going to come after you. Like I feel like you're doing like something dangerous here. Like, cause there's a consequence to creating a technology like this to where I'm like, is the CIA going to come after Derek in the night? Is he just going to just be disappeared one day? And I'm going to be like, what happened to my friend Derek? Where did he fucking go? He stopped answering my calls. We can't find him. He's on a milk carton. Like this is wild.
Speech. And I hope that, I don't get disappeared for making it. But
that worked really well for Keanu Rodriguez.
Yeah.
And then they invited the FBI to the conference. But anyway, now I'm nervous. Do I read too many murder books?
So this is really nervous? Cool, really rewarding. Like literally a real world scenario happened where people were put in harm's way, unfortunately, because they used a centralized platform.
Yeah, I mean, a man lost his life because he had a YouTube channel. I mean, that is a definition of having speech be taken away as a right, and that's horrific.
So we attempted to fix this, but because legacy social media exists and that's where people exist, so we have buttons that you can click, to post to Twitter. At this time, we will add, post to Facebook, post to TikTok, post to YouTube, things like that. So Nostr will just be this like beacon of centralization or a backup, a place that the content will always exist and can't be taken down, but we will integrate with legacy social media. So because of this complicated app, we ended up winning second place.
Congrats.
That's awesome.
You did good work. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's 2 hackathons and second place in both.
As much as you make me nervous, I am also proud of this. Like, I'm proud of you and the work you guys did, and you also make me nervous.
Our app was the only app out of the what was there 18. So yeah, eight apps built.
That's a lot.
8 apps were built, and our app was the only app to use Bitcoin and Nostr. There was no other app to use Nostr. There's no other app to use Bitcoin, and we use both. And I started so Anais, she made the presentation. That was her job, to do the presentation and work on that. She and I both started out by saying that we needed decentralized and open protocols to be able to do this properly. So we use Nostr and we use Bitcoin.
This is a need.
And we use Bitcoin. Let's see. Third place was I don't remember her last name. Roya from Afghanistan. She and her sister, they run a school for women. They have like 2,000 women, girls, young girls enrolled in her education program. So her team made a mobile app so they can have a custom tailored curriculum that is on mobile. And they got third place. That was really cool. And another educational app was the first place prize that won first place. Another educational schools that can't be taken down, schools that, and things like that. So it was really cool.
Just the fact that you have to fight for any education and you need
wild.
Like to come to the United States and get a team of developers and HRF to help you create an avenue for being able to educate people because your government would rather you not be educated or would rather you not have free speech. That's just so wild.
One of the most interesting apps that I thought that I saw built, a gentleman by the name of Sergio from Serbia, I believe, he apparently has a very popular book. I need to check it out, about nonviolent activism.
Sounds like
apparently a lot of people in the it sounds like a good read. I need to check it out. He was telling me that if people owned his book in Rwanda, they would be jailed just for having his book. And I was like,
dude, it's just like in Venezuela, they will take your cell phone like on the street and inspect it and then decide to throw you in jail. I mean, like this happens in these countries.
Sure. I bet if you have his book in Venezuela, that's probably frowned upon too. Like, that's crazy.
Right, because they only like violence in some of these countries because that's how dissidents rule or not dissidents, but this means.
So his app was a Telegram bot where you could self-organize for protest, revolution, whatever. whatever you wanted to use it for to self-organize. But he didn't want to have any type of like metadata that would leak by typing conversations and so forth. So it was a Telegram bot that only had buttons. So like, I'm bringing 2 people to the event, or I'm bringing 4 people to the event. So you would just, it had like a phone tree of buttons to push menus. So you wouldn't have to do any typing. But the very neat part
That's
about
cool.
this, so the event organizer could do this and run the Telegram bot, but then the public would install an app on their phone to be able to communicate during the event. And it was disguised as a shoe sale app, like a shoe marketplace app.
Ooh, I
So,
like this.
so you would
This
open
is
up,
why we
you would
all
open
got
up
into
this
doing
app.
what we do.
Yeah. Like,
This
so
is
you would
great.
open up this like shoe sale marketplace app, and it'd have all
Buy
these
some
different
chocolate.
shoes, all these different shoes for sale, and each shoe represented a different kind of event. And if you were buying like 2 pairs of shoes, that means you were having 2 people come to the event.
We can't post this video. We've got we're releasing the playbook. We got to take this video down.
Well, so Matthias, the gentleman from Nashville that was building this app for that team, I asked him about that. I'm like, eventually they're gonna, people are gonna
They're gonna figure some
find out
things
that
out.
this is not really a shoe sale app. He's like, yeah, then maybe the next time it's for buying pillows or mattresses or whatever. But he was
Chonkla's
gonna make it
$21.
yeah, he was going to make it so you could continue to deploy variations of the app, and the back end would still all work.
It
So
would
that
automate
was
some
really
kind of
innovative and kind of funny. Like I thought that was really neat.
the lengths that people have to go to fight for their freedom never cease to amaze me. Humans are genius about coming up with ways to fight the man, whatever the man is, whether it's the government of Rwanda or Venezuela or whatever. Find ways to, life will always find a way. Freedom will always find a way.
Absolutely.
And that's why people attack it, because it's one of the most powerful human forces in the world, is that we just want to be free and live our lives. And I know we take it for granted here living in the United States, as you and I both do. It just never ceases to, the human spirit cannot be stopped. And, if we're just nerds with some software skills and we can keep, pushing that human spirit forward because we can click a few keys and use AI to move it forward. I mean, that's actually, it's kind of an amazing time to be alive.
Oh, speaking of using AI, you remember Leopoldo Lopez, who we built Agora for. His wife, Lillian Lopez, she was at the event, and her team's app was let me think, what was it called? Museum of Venezuela, talking about Venezuela's history and so forth, to try to preserve their history, their culture,
like an archive.
A digital online archive.
Because no doubt Maduro wanted to get rid of the things that she's trying to preserve. I would take that lead. Right?
So her interesting take on the app is that, herself, her team, they're not developers, but they all have now OpenClaw bots or Hermes bots. So they ended up using they created a skill that their bot knows, so she can update the web page and continue to add to the archive and monitor and enhance the archive all through the OpenClaw or Hermes bot through an AI skill. So then other countries can then take this skill, adapt it, and be able to deploy and use and create a digital archive, or any website really for that matter, using the bot based on this skill that they made. I thought that was a really interesting way to kind of democratize development. So the design language and all the skills and tools are built into the skill.
Years ago, we talked about democratizing AI at a company that I did. I won't mention their name, but I did some copywriting for a company that this was the initiative, democratize AI, and they had a really large and reputable AI company. And so in writing for that, it was like, we're going to democratize AI. We're going to democratize AI. And I think I don't know, it's like 5 years later, I think we're finally getting there. We're seeing this in action on the consumer level, not on the B2B business level, as a big company would have. Where if somebody in a country like Rwanda or Venezuela or Cambodia, Uganda, if those folks were, some of these countries have the worst human rights violations. You're thrown in jail for a YouTube channel and then you end up dead. These you can't be gay in Uganda. They will kill you. And so now we're reaching a point where we've democratized.
These are things that are absolutely wild if you think about it in the grand
scheme of things. This is what we talked about years ago. Like, we're doing this now. We're actually getting to a point where, like, we're building these tools person,
because people have to deal with this. Well, I've probably said this before on the show, is that whenever I talk to people about what my job is, what do I do? Like, hey, Derek, what do you do? And
it's hard to explain sometimes.
Yes, it is. So, what I lead with now is I tell them about Agora, and now in the future, I'm going to tell them about Agora and Zuka, because this is an extreme. These are extreme examples that the average person in the United States doesn't understand. But I'll tell you what, once you explain it to them, it's really rewarding, and they can see the actual human impact that you're having, and that you're having because you're able to build
problems.
We can solve these problems.
Well,
Sure,
I just
absolutely.
told somebody, I told the guys at Camp Nakamoto, I'm going to go to Camp Nakamoto next month. So I told the guys at Camp Nakamoto about Agora, and they thought, well, this is really interesting. You're helping real people. I'm like, yes, we are. Like, we're helping people we've never met. We got involved, and I was telling the story that you just told about, we got involved in January. We built this Agora app with Leopoldo Lopez and World Liberty Congress. And I was telling the story, and he's like, this is amazing. He's like, you guys have literally built like a wrapper. You built something that makes Bitcoin and Nostr work for people. I'm like, yes, that's what we do. And it's just, we're in a space where we're not 8-second sound bites. We have to explain to people the need for Agora, which is that, there are a lot of times that even if people in Venezuela may or may not have access to Twitter, it may or may not be banned. And if it is not banned, they may still have trouble accessing Twitter. And they also need a VPN to access it if they can. Essentially, like, some of the financial apps are banned, like AirTM, banned in Venezuela. And that's a way to get money moved, right? But you have to use a VPN to use it because it's banned. So then you're putting yourself in danger, because if that is found on your phone in public, that is then a liability that could get you jailed. And then if that doesn't work for you, you need an American citizen to help you receive your GoFundMe if you've raised GoFundMe money. So, like, the whole thing is kind of a mess, and people in the West don't have an idea of how this works because we take things for granted. Most people I know are banked in the United States. Most people have citizenship, and we have no problem using big banking apps like Zelle and or GoFundMe. And so, like, we kind of explain this to people, like, hey, we got asked to do this thing, and then we started doing the research and realized here's the gravity of the problem that we're solving with Agora. And then once you explain that to people, they're like, oh, wow, you've not only just educated me about the issue, like, you've also explained the app and Nostr, which I also don't understand, and Bitcoin, which people in our space may or may not understand. So it's a lot to explain. So when you have to explain to the uninitiated, okay, here's a layer of, like, we work in Bitcoin, and then we work on software development, and it's open source, and it's Nostr, and then you've got, like, this pylon of, like, then it's a 30-minute conversation. But then the person understands, and they've bought in.
Well, we have to give them something to kind of identify with and to be able to understand this. Yeah.
Yeah, because people love the activism angle. They want people to have freedom. They love charities. They love nonprofits. They love HRF. People get excited because they're like, oh, you give a portion of your Radio Detox podcast proceeds to HRF. That's amazing. And like, people on Twitter don't know about these things. People on Nostr do, and we take it for granted because we have all this. I think we have, like, a tech privilege, Derek. Like, we have AI at our fingertips. We understand Nostr. We understand Bitcoin. We've run a node. We've run a miner. Like, you and I have this tech privilege that, like, people coming into Bitcoin are just like a friend of mine told me last night. She's like, I have spent months researching which node I'm going to buy. And she settled on, I'm going to get Start9, and I'm happy with this. And I'm so excited to get my Start9 node, and it's going to scratch every itch. It's going to make all my Bitcoiner dreams come true. And because I'm a serious Bitcoiner and I know I want to run a node. And so she took time to solve this problem, right? Whereas I think you and I have this, I don't know, like, because of the circles we travel in or whatever, because we're just nerds that taught ourselves at the right point in time 6 years ago, or, whatever it was for each of us. Like, I think we have a tech privilege, because I still think a lot of people are still struggling to understand any of the one things that you and I are involved in, whether it's Bitcoin and or Nostr and or vibe coding with AI. And then people really don't understand activism, Whereas like, okay, I worked in social work, so I
Yeah.
understand a little bit of it, but I don't understand activism in Venezuela until I talk to somebody who's involved with it and do my research there, do my due diligence to know that we're giving Agora a fair shake and that we are solving a real problem, which obviously we are because we were asked to solve the problem and we did, and we continue to work on it. But I think we have a lot of like information privilege. And then when I go out to dinner with like the normie friends and family and they're like, what do you do for a living? I'm like, fuck, what do I say? You know, and I'm like, well, I work in Bitcoin and we build apps, and I kind of gloss over it depending on the audience I'm in, because I look around the table and I go, is this person going to give a shit about Agora? You know, probably not.
Yeah.
But they would probably want to use Shakespeare to make an app for their 11-year-old soccer team. You know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of like we have technology that works for any aspect of society, whether it's that mom that wants to build the soccer app for her kid here in Paradise Valley, Arizona, or somebody like Leopoldo Lopez, who, you know, has been exiled and wants to continue to do the work that he was exiled for so many years, 18 years ago. You know, like we have this technological privilege where we can solve problems for all of these people. It's like we built technology at Soapbox that solves a million problems.
I think that we're at the point where we're using technology to solve societal problems, and that's
many at once.
That's a really wild experience to be part of.
It's weird because like we
have technology that is attributing to societal problems too.
Well, like you will find people like where you live, like you will find like a small business that can use Shakespeare. And like we have friends that are like, well, I have a big business that wants to use Shakespeare. And so like we literally have built something that works for everybody. And that's also a problem because we have multiple niches, and then it's like whoever you are, you can use our stuff, and it's open source and it's free software. But we also have to like target the people who are most open to it, which, you know, incidentally is the Bitcoin community and the Nostr community, obviously, since we build Nostr apps. And it's just so funny because it's like you can be a small business in small town America and use Shakespeare as much as you could be somebody who's literally fighting for their life and freedom in the global 100%. South and use Shakespeare.
There's multiple businesses actually, because I did a business workshop several months ago. Multiple businesses actually that are using Shakespeare to build their website. There's a real estate agency, there's a car dealership, and there's a motor electronics plant that is.
And there's some we can't even
building their website on Shakespeare. I mean, there's probably others too, but I just know these because I've specifically spoken with them.
There's some that we can't out yet, but maybe someday. If you keep listening to Soapbox Sessions long enough, like you will maybe find out when these things become public. But you know, some of these things are still behind the scenes. It's wild to have worked on a team that created something that can solve so many problems around the world. When you tell people, hey, this is private AI and it's not going to dox you like Replit will, they're just like, huh, you know, I didn't think about that. You know, yeah, Replit knows your location, by the way. Like, you can't be an activist and use Replit.
Yeah.
Like, you really do need something like Shakespeare that works in your browser and doesn't care who you are, ask for your name and email, and, you know, give you a payment option that doesn't dox your location as well. That's kind of like, that's why we built this stuff. Like, we saw a very pressing need to essentially keep people alive. Like, that story you just told drives it home. You know, this person from Rwanda ended up dead, no matter what the state government, you know, what they say. Like, there needs to be an independent investigation into that individual's death that is not state sponsored. It can't be the local police corps saying, oh, no, that was an accidental death. Like, there has to be an outside agency that is allowed to come in and independently investigate what happened. And you know, that's not going to happen. You know, that's another sad thing too. And not to be a Debbie Downer, but you know, we're doing work that can actually keep people alive. And that, you know, that's something that I think it deserves to have a little bit of a spotlight on it for a second. Cause this is, for some people, this is life and death. And then for like people who live in Derek's neighborhood who are like, cool, I'm making Shakespeare apps. You know?
I don't think that the average person at least in America, the average person in America doesn't understand that it's literally life and death situation. And that's why we're building these tools, because people actually do experience life and death situations, and Bitcoin is a tool and Nostr is a tool for them. So that's why we build. And when I go to these hackathons, HRF events, when I was on the HRF stage in Vegas, at the HRF reception in Vegas, or these HRF sponsored hackathons, you get to hear the stories and you get to see and meet the people that have these experiences. And it just reaffirms everything that you're doing in the space, and it kind of makes you walk away saying, yeah, I'm on the right mission. Like, not that I was guessing my mission or second guessing myself, but it is nice to have that reaffirmed, to say, I am mission aligned. Yes, I am on the right path. This is my calling. This is what I'm doing.
You've made a difference in the world. Where it's funny because
trying
it's
to.
I mean, I listen to you and I think about, well, my Bitcoiner friends locally, we got together last night and we all went out to a trendy local restaurant and had a nice meal, and we were talking about, who biffed a podcast and who's buying STRC and why and how that works, and some things that are like number go up related, and how was Vegas and stuff. And so that's the conversation that we have, where it's like, Derek goes to a hackathon in Nashville at Bitcoin Park, and the conversation is, let's build an app to keep us alive. And in both cases, Bitcoin fixes this. It fixes mainstream financial problems.
It's not a meme. I mean, it is a meme, but it's not a meme.
Yeah, but it's like, it fixes, the dinner party in Scottsdale's problems, right? It fixes our problems over there, but it also fixes the problems of somebody who came from Rwanda and doesn't want to keep losing people, but wants to keep fighting for freedom. Because I can't imagine what it is like to fight for my freedom. I have always been a free person. I was born in the United States. I was born a U.S. citizen. I have never had to fight for my freedom. I need to know my rights, because we have things that go on in this country, but I've not been detained, which is something that's happened in my community. People are being detained this year because, they go to a restaurant and they literally detain every employee. They take away the phone and they make you sit in a corner and wait while they raid the restaurant. Like, this is happening in my community and I'm aware of it. And I'm like, what would I do? What would I do if this happened to me? If I worked in a restaurant and I were a server, because we have people in our family that work in the restaurant industry. So like, what would I do as an American citizen I could prove that I have, I can whip out ID, passport, social security card. I could whip out a birth certificate. I have these things handy, because I live in a community where we've had these issues, but it hasn't happened to me. And I can't imagine what it would be like to be detained by my government. I don't think
most of us can.
No, we don't.
Most of us can't fathom that. That's why I think I said this, it's been 3 years and 2 months ago in the jungle in Costa Rica. I said, most of us have a hard problem seeing outside our social circles and our daily lives. So we can't comprehend that a third of the world lives in these type of environments. More than a third of the world. It's incredible.
It's like people also, like, I did social work, so I know that there are unbanked people in the United States. And then when I try to explain this to people who didn't do social work and who aren't aware of it, they're like, I don't get it. And I'm like, think about how you would live your life and pay your bills if you didn't have a bank account. Think about it. They don't know. They have no idea.
Sure.
So it's like, you don't know about things until
you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, you don't.
That's another meme too, but it's literally true. You don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, so I don't know. We went off on a couple tangents here about.
Yeah, let's rope her back in here, because I don't know about something, and I want to hear you talk even more. Apparently,
he puts up with me.
I want you to tell me about how the Iranian regime hacked Spotify, because I was busy while this happened. I was doing
This happened yesterday.
My own hack. Yeah, I was traveling yesterday, so I don't know about it. What happened? Like, what is this thing?
Missed this. So there was a pro-Iran hacking group that basically it's a revenge thing, right? You killed our Ayatollah. We're going to do whatever we want to do to you. So we're going to do DDoS attacks against Western companies. So they picked one yesterday that we're going
to hack centralized music. Oh no! Like,
right. So they just want to be crazy makers.
Can we thank them? Like,
I know. I was like, hey, you're doing me a favor. I've been bitching about Spotify for years.
Exactly. Like, but we kind of want to cancel Spotify, so thank you.
Apparently, the Iranian regime did that
for
us.
What happened?
So what happened was a DDoS attack on Spotify yesterday. So it happened. We're recording this on the 13th, so this happened May 12th. At 1 p.m. May 12th, users were saying, "Oh, there's downtime, and what's going on with Spotify." So an act of revenge was taken out according to this article I found, about, that this regime has decided that revenge on the death of the Ayatollah needs to be done on Spotify.
But isn't Spotify a European country? Because I remember they first launched
it was
like
a European
UK,
product.
And they didn't
it came from Sweden initially, like 20 years ago.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember when they weren't available in the United States, and I was mad when they first launched because they weren't available in the U.S. So whenever they came to the U.S., I gave them the finger, and I've never used Spotify since then.
Well, doesn't it seem silly? Because
I've never used Spotify.
Right, I've used it, but I was excited when it came to the U.S. I was counting the hours and minutes because I was so excited about it. Well, now it's like we can just be a crazy maker and annoy the Westerners who use Spotify. It's literally what it seems like to me, because it comes back, and these DDoS attacks, they're attacking anything from like Spotify to Blue Sky. Goodreads, Goodreads was attacked, so you can't use, they claim there was an attack on eBay that started April 26th, so it's not even just Spotify, it's just we're going after big name Western companies like Goodreads, Spotify, eBay. Like, we just want to make things crazy. Like, they could go after Amazon, and like how many people depend on Amazon on a daily basis to get everything from their groceries and medication to whatever. You bought a Kindle, or you bought a gift for your family's birthday because your schedule's so insane you couldn't shop any other way. Like, people have created needs, or they think they have needs for these things. And so naturally the regime is like, let's attack Spotify. And of course I made a big deal about this on Twitter because, I want people to understand that there's an alternative to Spotify, which we've clearly been working on for years. And now, I want to be clear here. Like, we say things like cancel Spotify, but I want to be clear. What we have built is not going to replace Spotify. Okay, because what Spotify has is your mainstream music catalog. It has your Beatles, Nirvana, Madonna, Chappell Roan, Taylor Swift, etc. Like, people are not going to stop listening to that music. And the way to listen to that music is to pay for a service, whether it's Spotify, YouTube, Apple, whatever. Right? What we've created is an alternative, which is for independent artists who don't have IP and PROs and record labels. They just want to release their music independently and get paid independently as well. So they get paid with Bitcoin to put their music on services like we have. You can put it on Nostr, you can put it on Wavlake, you can put it on Fountain app. So like, there's a way to listen to this music that's independent in this ecosystem and then say, hey, I love that song, I'm going to send them 21 sats or 2100 sats or whatever. So it was a good excuse for me yesterday to say, hey, look, the centralized service went down. So what you could do is listen to what exists in a decentralized way. There's an alternative. And like, yeah, you're not going to get your Taylor Swift song listening to Wavlake, but you are going to find, if you need some music right now, you're going to find some music. Instead of just running to, if Spotify's down, don't just run to Apple, run to Wavlake or Fountain.
There are better alternatives out there in terms of, I'll say, being able to support artists, right? Like, maybe they don't have the catalog, but if I wanted to directly make sure Taylor Swift got this dollar for a song, I don't know if I could do that through Spotify, but if she had music on, Wavlake or Fountain, for example, and I wanted to send her $1, I would know that she would get the dollar. If she had music in our ecosystem,
like, there'd be a lot of people sending dollars. Okay, that would kind of solve the discoverability problem for the apps that have been built in this system. But like, here's the thing, is like, again, we're not going to replace it, but I think that there's like, people are becoming more awake to the ethics side. Like, aside from like, yeah, there was a cyber attack, there was a DDoS attack on Spotify, and maybe you lost your Spotify for a little while yesterday, and you're wondering how to solve that problem. Like, here was one way you could do it. You could just listen to independent music instead. And then people go, oh, well, this is good. This is good. This is just as good as what Spotify would feed me. And then maybe they start to understand that, oh, there's an ethical issue here where I'm listening to music on Spotify and it's purposely kind of shafting independent artists. It's not feeding me independent artists. It's feeding me based on an algorithm, and it's feeding me mainstream music that makes Spotify money. It's feeding me Taylor Swift because that makes Spotify money. But what if I want to listen to a really cool band like Helene, because I'm into Helene music, which is healing music.
Okay.
It's like 430 hertz or whatever, but it's music I would play in a yoga class. And, Spotify's
Okay.
not feeding me that. Spotify will feed me the mainstream yoga music that I've been listening to for years, like East Forest and DJ Taj Rashid and DJ Drez and MC Yogi. It's going to feed me that stuff because it's going to make money off of those bigger artists. And those artists, by the way, all have like side gigs so that they can make more money, because I don't even think they're making money on Spotify or Apple Music. Like, I use Apple Music. And, how much money is DJ Taz Rashid making off of his music being on Spotify and Apple? I have no idea. I'm just saying, like, because he's also on the side, he's offering people, right? I showed this to you the other day. He's offering people like me, yoga teachers, an option to play his music rights free in our yoga classes. And I can pay like $200 annually for the rights to his music so that I can play it in a yoga studio. Okay. Like, so he's got a sideline where he can make money, because he can make money off the rights to his music, because he's got a PRO, he's got a label, he's got all of this, but he's got to set it up like an entrepreneur. And this is what artists have to do. But if we put more effort into the much more ethical, independent realm, which is where Bitcoin and Nostr come in, if we start to make more people aware that this exists and people can put their art and their effort into this ecosystem, then like maybe you don't have to work so hard at, pleasing the PRO paycheck by selling to yoga teachers. And then when I tell other yoga teachers, I can play yoga music in my classes that is rights free, they're like, oh my God, where are you getting this? And I'm like, I'm getting it on Fountain and Wavlake. It's on RSS. It's on Nostr. Like, there's not a lot of it, and it's not going to be the big name aforementioned yoga music artists. But here is something that you can play, and you're not going to get in trouble with copyright in your yoga classes. And yes, there are people who travel around to yoga studios and see what you're playing, and then they try to sell you a service and turn you into the PROs. It's insane, but this is the way the music industry has been. And so like what we've created here in this ecosystem is a way for people to just access music you can't be stopped, right? You can't be stopped by a PRO. You can't be stopped by the local Muzak salesman who's going to come into, I've seen them do this. They come into the yoga studio and they're like, hey, you can't play that. You don't own the rights to that. You can't play that for your class. And like, they don't even care if you have 6 or 36 people in the studio in a class. To them, you're a cash cow. They want to get you to pay them for the rights. And so it's ridiculous. So yoga teachers know this, and they're like, I don't want to get in trouble. So I guess I'll pay DJ Taj Rashid $200 a year. And by the way, for your studio, the price is $500 a year. And as an individual teacher, I would pay $200 a year. And I love his music. I have played his music in my classes. I've played it off of Apple Music. I 100% would love to pay him $200 a year, but I would also prefer to play Helene music in my yoga classes, where I'm streaming it on Fountain and they're getting sats per minute from me, so that I can feel like in yoga, I want to practice yoga and practice the ethics of yoga. I want to practice asteya, which is non-stealing, which means I do want to play Helene and know that they're benefiting from me playing their music in my class, even if that's 10 sats a minute in an hour class, and I can pay them a little bit of money. To me, that's better than being locked into an annual subscription to somebody who's already pretty big. And I'm sure I love DJ Taz Rashid. I'm a fan, and I'm sure he deserves all of the money he's making. Don't get me wrong. But I also would love to support smaller independent creators, because that's what's on my heart. And like, we've created the system where we could do this, and we're doing it. We just need more people to come in and do it with us. We need more listeners. We need more yoga music. We just need more musicians and more fans, because that's what's really going to be that rising tide that lifts all boats in this space. I just went on a tangent. Dude, I gave a freaking sermon, bro. Are you still there?
I'm still here. I know.
He's like, there she goes again.
It's the standard Heather rant that we get in about music and value for value.
And I will die on this hill, because when I've watched it work for artists, I want to see it work though across the board for a lot of artists, not just a few artists, not just dozens of artists, but like, let's get this working for everyone. This could work for DJ Taz Rashid, right? This could work for the guy. Maybe he could make more money doing this. We build up this ecosystem. It could, in the long run, be better for him. Right now, it's not.
There's musicians that are Bitcoiners that are
they're
not
out there.
doxed as being a Bitcoiner. that are now starting to come out of the woodwork and talk about it a little bit. There's some that are, I'll say,
they do exist,
okay with it being mainstream, and we're going to see some over the next year. I know for a fact that are going to start speaking about this. So once they start speaking about it, then they'll be more apt to talk about it more. Their fans will understand it, and then maybe other people will then jump in on the space. Because right now, nobody wants to be first because Bitcoin has this bad taste in people's mouths, thanks to
they've been told it's a liability,
media telling people that it's bad. So they don't want to talk about this thing that they know that's not bad, but because the majority of people think it's bad. So I think now we're starting to get to a phase in their lives where they're ready, a phase in their career where they're ready to talk about it. So there's a handful of musicians I know. So I'm hoping that they do this in the next year.
Put your neck, 2027, stick your neck out there.
2027 becomes the year of Bitcoin and Nostr music.
I think we knew this year would push it forward a little more because we knew a lot of the mainstream apps would create more Bitcoin financial products. And so I've seen like SoFi, which is the bank account I like the least, but like SoFi is pushing crypto purchasing, not so much Bitcoin. They're still using the C word that we don't like, that doesn't help us. And we have a president that uses the C word, which doesn't help the industry, no matter what the industry thinks of him and his opinions. Like the C word crypto is actually pretty bad for the industry, and I'll die on that hill as well. But we are 100%. Seeing more mainstream interest in Bitcoin to where like I feel comfortable out at a dinner with somebody new saying, I work in Bitcoin. And the response was, oh, cool. And it wasn't like, oh, God, you're one of those. Oh, I bet you voted for Trump because you're a white woman, too. Like it's not that anymore. Like I think there's been a little maturity this year where people are like, okay, maybe these Bitcoiners, as annoying as they are, maybe they're legit. We know we're annoying, but like maybe they're legit. Maybe there are legit financial products coming out from big name companies that people know. Also, if NBA season's pretty much over, but if you noticed throughout the NBA season, a lot of big Bitcoin companies, I can't think of one off the top of my head, like Ledger maybe. They were, the little patch on the uniform there. There were some financial products that probably got people a little more Bitcoin curious.
The Timberwolves game that we watched, was it Monday night or maybe it wasn't Monday night, Sunday night?
Last night
we saw Ledger. We saw
Ledger's
Ledger
Timberwolves
on their jerseys, and then we saw Coinbase. As the
there
bumpers
are others too. I just can't think of it.
Like I was surprised to see Coinbase was the hoop bumper sponsor.
Right. And then there's like crypto.com arena. So for the people who come in with the crypto word,
but the problem is they come in with the crypto word, and the crypto word is where all the scams go. We literally saw this 4 and 5 years ago as they came in with the crypto word with NFTs and Web3.
And it's always going to be a problem.
And then they all got fucking scammed, and then they all decided, anything related to this is bad, and Bitcoin is related to it, so they assume that Bitcoin is bad.
Right.
But anyways, we could talk about this forever. We should
be scammed
move on from this and talk
currency.
About a little bit of AI news that I wanted to hit up. So it's happening again, right? We have another company that is
interesting,
doing layoffs.
There's a maturation here of what GM just did.
So they laid off 10% of their IT force, like 600 some employees, but it's not like they're downsizing. They laid off.
No, they're looking at skill.
I'll call them legacy IT employees, and they're looking to hire new IT employees. They want ones that have specific skill sets. So if you are AI native development, if you do data engineering, analytics, if you are training models, if you're in the AI space, they are hiring those type of IT employees. So they got rid of people that were maybe not able to move forward, I guess. People that were using older technology and weren't able to adapt to the newer technology.
There's a maturation
it's different than the previous layoffs.
Yeah, because they're like, hey, and I think we've been in a rut for a while where people just thought, oh, AI is this cool productivity tool. I can be so much more productive. But they're asking for something that has taken another leap where it's like, you gotta be into like making new workflows. Like actually have to
they
put
want
AI
people
into
that can
practice.
build from the ground up.
Yeah, it's not just like, you have AI
in
automate
practice,
your schedule.
They want people to build from the ground up.
So what this tells me
maybe it's to build their intelligence layer. Probably they want somebody to build their intelligence layer. That's what I'm thinking.
Real skill. Yeah, like it's no longer enough to be the person who's like, oh, I automated things with AI. Oh, I'm so productive because of AI. Oh, I can use Claude. Like, I think the era of everybody being a self-professed AI expert because maybe they could do a couple of tricks, like you can't just build a spreadsheet with AI anymore. You actually have to know how to use it for business means. Like you actually have to use it to keep the company afloat and work the infrastructure and work natively with AI. It's like the easy AI era is over, is what this tells me. Like you can't just be like the AI influencer on LinkedIn anymore. Like you actually have to, push comes to shove, your skills need to mature and you need to know what you're doing. The exact quote I think talked about the most sought after capabilities are AI native development, data engineering and analytics, cloud-based engineering, and agent and model development, prompt engineering, which I think we moved past prompt engineering a long time ago, and new AI workflows. It says in practical terms.
You know what's really funny
is
people still think that you need prompt engineering. You don't need prompt engineering anymore.
You don't. It's so smart now.
Let me
have to
rephrase
engineer
that.
A prompt.
You don't need prompt engineering depending on the model that you're using. If you're using frontier models, you don't need to do prompt engineering. That's because the current frontier models, they can gather context around the words and around what you're saying. So
you need to tell the bros
will look
on
at
LinkedIn.
every single word and they will understand all the context about the sentence that you're building. You don't need to do this. You are a systems analyst working in an industry for 20 years. You don't need to do that anymore.
Actually, you know where I see that
That's
a lot?
how you prompted AI a year ago. You are literally a year behind if you're doing that. You don't need to do it.
I'm seeing people still do it.
You can now just say, do the thing. That's all you need to do is do the thing.
Do the thing.
It is now smart enough that you can tell it to do that.
There's still a league of AI influencers they post this crap on Twitter and LinkedIn and like, here's the prompt. That's the secret to everything. And like, I bookmarked a couple the other day because they're kind of funny.
You are like, okay, so I will say a tiny bit of that context is great, but you don't need to start out by trying to trick the AI into what type of prompt it is going to answer. Like you are a marketer with 27 years experience.
Yes,
your name is
I'm
Heather.
trying to find one right now.
Like you can just
working.
like, hey, give me a marketing plan for this product. That's all you need to do now. You don't need to build the story anymore. So if someone's telling you that you have to build this story and they're giving you this massive long prompt,
like you don't know how to work AI.
You don't need to do that anymore. You are now a year behind. Or you're using non-frontier models. Why are you using non-frontier models? Maybe you're trying to save costs because frontier models are expensive.
Cheap.
I get that. I get that.
No, like
so,
if you're
using Claude or Codex, don't do that. You're literally wasting tokens. You're actually wasting money. Like you're wasting money doing that now.
Things moved really fast in the last year, and thank God the prompt engineering bros are going to have to find another way to gain influence on social media because it's not going to work.
That's probably why they're still doing it is because they're gaining influence. Because if you
love it, right?
Yeah, so in the grand scheme of things, the prompt engineer content is actually doing well, but the prompt engineering itself doesn't work anymore.
Like sometimes I bookmarked one the other day. I was like, that's a unique idea. Maybe I'll come back to that, but I'm never gonna come back to that. And also I tried to come back to it just now. Twitter wasn't working. Like that's the thing too. Is like a lot of these legacy apps just don't work. I swear. And I'm like, nobody can tell me that Nostr doesn't work because it's actually seems more robust sometimes than some of these TikTok.
Sometimes Nostr is better, but sometimes Nostr is worse.
Yeah, it's still.
There's
certain things.
It's a bridge that we need to cross. It's like sure, like can Nostr go down?
It's gonna come up faster for me than Twitter.
But sometimes a reaction doesn't show up or a zap doesn't show up.
Yeah, little things like that.
So.
But
in
I'm
the grand
telling you
scheme
though,
of things,
Nostr's never down.
Nostr never goes down. It can't go down.
Like Twitter goes down.
Well, you can have a centralized Nostr app that goes down, but generally speaking, Nostr doesn't go down.
We won't name names though. We love you.
We have 2 of them now. You know that we have 2 apps that technically could go down.
But I don't know. Sometimes I feel like in some ways I think Nostr might actually be more reliable than some of these centralized platforms, especially when
Depends.
they get DDoS attacked.
Oh yeah, now Nostr. I'll tell you what, Nostr can't go down, but if our 6 relays that everybody uses were DDoSed, things would hurt, and only the real technical people that use inbox and outbox would be like, "What are you talking about?" I'm good.
I'm not that technical.
I'm using my small community relays, my personal private relays, and I'm good to go. I'm still sending notes and I'm still sending zaps.
I'll tell you what though, we got in a couple deep conversations today, man. This was like we went there today. Deep conversations about rights in the global south, and deep conversations about the music, the alternative universe for music we built for independent music. And then we got the puppy dog. Just put the camera on the dog, man.
He's like, Dad, you've been gone for too long. It's time to go.
It's time to go. We're gonna let Derek's dog Turner is now running the podcast, and he says we have to go. So off we go. Put the camera on Turner again. Put the camera on it. Put it on my camera. No, people don't want to look at you and me. We want the cuteness.
You see the doggy.
This is the best cameo he's had to date. Look at that snoot. It's so cute. I want to boop the snoot. Boop his snoot for me.
He's a good boy.
Give him a boop. Oh, he's so cute. Yeah. There we go. All right.
He's a good boy.
All right. Heather and Derek signing off. We got to go play with Turner.
Right, thank you. I got to go play the doggy. I know we're going to go outside.
He's like, I left you a present on the rug,
shit.
Dad.
I said words. We need to do them, or he's going to drive me nuts.
Bye.
All right.
Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.